So that's a little question, right?
All
Anybody?
right.
So even if, so you see from here that he probably got rewarded, one mitzvah leads to another mitzvah, something like that. But even if the whole learning was a big mistake, his whole thesis was a complete, according to him, it was an error. And he said, even if you're learning Torah and you make a whole mistake and you don't learn right shot, you still get the reward. That's what he's basically saying. But also, Rabbi Akiva learned that it's marba talmidei chachamim. What does that mean? You have to have fear of talmidei chachamim. I didn't know exactly what that meant. In what way? So the only thing I thought of is that just like you're supposed to ish imay v'av tiro, you're supposed to fear your parents. Probably it means that if you're not allowed to sit in your parents' seat or chair or their place in the house, and respectfully, you're not allowed to contradict them for no reason. So Talmud Chacham also, you have to show respect in that manner that you show your parents. Well, basically it means your Rebbe, that you're not allowed to sit in his place and not allowed to try to contradict what he's saying if there's no reason for it. But one of the Mefarshim explained, if it means as Hashem Elokecha Tira, you're not allowed to sit in your father's place and you're not allowed to sit in your parents' place, that's called fearing somebody. So also you're supposed to fear God. Don't try to sit in God's chair, so to speak, and say and try to figure out how God runs the world. That's called fearing God, when you're not going to sit in his place and let God run the world the way he runs it. Okay, so let's begin the Gemara over here. The Gemara, we're talking about over here, remember this? The Gemara said, Chizkiah said an expression on the previous page. Chafam bebeis. Menayin lechametz bepesach. It's aser bahano. How do you know chametz bepesach? Because the word is lo ye ochel chametz. The odd use of lo ye ochel, chametz should not be eaten. So that teaches you that you're not allowed to have not only achila, eating chametz, but you're not allowed to benefit from chametz. And the Gemara said it's only because it's written lo ye ochel. But if it writes lo yoichal, if it would just write lo yoichal, it would only think Isra Chila, not Isra No. And Rabbi Bo had the sweeping statement. Whenever the Torah writes, Lo Yoichal or Soichel or Soichlu, Rabbi Bo disagreed with Chizkiah. And he said, even the word Lo Yoichal, don't eat, means God wants you not to eat it and not to benefit from it. And unless the Torah wrote, by Nevela, the Torah wrote, don't eat Nevela. But then the Torah gives you the permissibility to benefit from it. You could sell it to a goy or gift it to a ger. But other than that, loisoichlu is a sweeping isser of not having benefit. So now the Gemara is going to ask a question. The Gemara is asking questions on both Rabbi Bo and Rabbi Chizkiah. Bahare Orla. The Gemara is like going through the whole Torah right now and asking questions. Bahare Orla. There's an isser not to eat the first fruits of a tree. The Rachmana Amma, the Torah says, Arelim, if it's the first 3 years, lo ye ochel, it should not be eaten. So right away, from this pasuk, even according to Chizkiah, you're not permitted to benefit from it. The Tanya, we learned in the Braysa, Arelim lo ye ochel, you're not allowed to benefit, Arelim lo ye ochel. That pasuk only teaches me you're not allowed to eat it. How do I know you're not allowed to benefit from it? You're not allowed to even color with the fruits or with the shell of an orla fruit. Layadlik boy esaner, or you're not allowed to light a candle or a fire with the fruits of orla, right? How do you know you're not allowed to benefit? The Chumash only says you're not allowed to eat it. So the Brisa says, Talmud loimer, I have 3 times, varaltem or losoi, arelim lo yerochel. It says 3 extra times the word araltem, and therefore, Arlosai and Arelim, Rabbis is kulam, to marba everything. 1, you're not allowed to benefit. Let's say you have Arla fruits, right? You have a little tree in your backyard. It's the first 3 years. You're not allowed to sell those fruits to a goy. You're not allowed to benefit from it. You're not allowed to use it as dye, color dye, and you're not allowed to light it as fuel. And Taisus explains why they need to be marba all 3 of them. But the bottom line is, Talmud the Kosav Rahman, It's the whole reason why it's asabana arla, because it says varaltem arla sa'arelim. It says 3 times. If he didn't write those 3 extra words, hava mean, I would have thought is achila mashma. You could only not eat it. Is ana loy mashma. It's not aser to hana. Wait a second. Even according to Chizkiah, it says lo ye ochel, like chametz. You should not be allowed to have benefit from it. So why do I need these extra psukim according to Chizkiah? Why does the Brisa say that? So la'olam. So the Gemara says all over Chumash lo ye achel. If it just says the word lo ye ochel, mashma, I would immediately say bein is achila, bein is arna. That means both. When it says lo ye ochel, it means you're not allowed to benefit, you're not allowed to eat it. Oh, so why by arla do I need an extra pasuk to tell me that you're not allowed to benefit from arla? Shani hasan d'ksiv lochem. It says an extra. It says a word there, lechem. That means it says that it's yours, and therefore, from that extra lechem, I might think that it's permissible to benefit from it because the Torah says this arla should be yours. So I might think it's permissible to benefit from it. That's why the Torah writes 3 words, araltem or lasarelem, to teach you you're not allowed to benefit from it. So that's what the Gemara explains. And the Gemara is going to ask the obvious question right after it. It's first of all, the Gemara says, I would have thought, because of lechem. The Torah wrote the word lechem. It's yours. By arla, it should be yours, and you're allowed to benefit from it. Kamash malam. That's why we have the pasuk araltem or also yarelim, that you're not allowed to benefit from it. So then, Ve'elo said the Gemara, Hashtaksi v'hanach kra. Now that you have araltem or los arelim, that you're not allowed to benefit from it. So then lechem lamali. What does lechem teach you? Can't teach me that it's yours, that you're permitted to benefit from it, because araltem or los arelim teaches you you're not allowed to benefit from it. Answers the Gemara. Look at the Tanya. It teaches you a new din. Lochem, that it's marba l'rabes es hanatua. Now we go to daf chaf gimel lamed aleph. L'rabim, that even a tree that's planted in a park or on a street where everybody's walking by, l'tzoyrech rabim. Rashi says, "K'goyim be'emtza derech l'chol oiver." If you plant the tree middle of the road, the din of orla applies even by them too, even by such a tree. Because I would have thought that only applies by a tree in your backyard, a private tree. So the chem, it means even if it's a public tree or it's meant to be a public tree, the din orla applies. And Rabbi Yehuda has a very lenient. Rabbi Yehuda says he has a very lenient opinion. Lahaitzi, just the opposite. It's coming to exclude esanatu ala rabim, that a tree that's a public tree, there's no din arla on it. My time at the Tanakama. So the Gemara explains what's the reason by the Tanakama that they're strict and say a public tree has a din arla, because the pasuk starts off and says unatatem kol eitz machol. You will plant. Natatem means you, individual, as an individual. Any person, liyachid mashma, l'rabim loy mashma. It's only talking to individuals. The Chumash starts off the parsha of Arla talking singular. Kosav Rachmana, then the Chumash ends off, Lechem yeh arelim yeh lechem, it should be aral to all of you. Lahavi, so that's plural. So to teach you that the parsha of Arla is going to the Rab, applies to Rabim as well. Lahavi includes as an atura, a plant, a tree that was planted l'Rabim, that Arla applies even for such a tree as well. That is the opinion of the Tanakama. Rabbi Yehuda. Why does Rabbi Yehuda go lean? What's his opinion? He says like this: when the Chumash starts off and starts the parsha of Arla, it says, "You will plant." The word nitatem means, or it could have said nitato, you will plant, but nitatem is plural. Mashma bein l'rabim, bein l'yachid. The Torah starts off talking about that it's a public decree, that it applies to both the Rabbim and to the Yachid. V'lochem, and then the Torah says the word lechem, to all of you. Bein Yachid, bein Rabbim mashma. It's going to the singular and it's going to the public. So twice the Torah tells you that this parsha of Arla applies to a Rabbim. When Torah repeats something twice, you have to do this the opposite. Have riboy, acha riboy. It's an addition after another addition. So the ain riboy, acha riboy elamayid. When the Torah puts 2 additions, 2 extra words, and it's both telling you the same din, you learn just the opposite out of it. that it excludes that. And therefore, Rabbi Yehuda was of the opinion that Arla does not apply to a tree that was planted in the middle of the road, the Tzorech Rabin, for the benefit of the public. Every time I have a color code over here, it's like the Gemara is just a new topic. The Gemara is jumping from topic to topic and asking questions against Rabbo or both of them, or both Chizki and Rabbo. Varei Truma. Let's look at the parsha of Truma. The Rachamana Amma, the Torah says by Truma, the Chol Zar lo yechel kodesh. Any Jew who's not a kohen, he's not allowed to eat this holy food. He's not allowed to eat Truma. A Yisrael is not allowed to eat Truma. So according to Rabbi Bo, the fact that it says lo yoichal means that not only is a Yisrael not allowed to eat Truma, but he should not be allowed to benefit from Truma. Now we learned in the Mishnah, Ma'arvin l'nazir b'yayin ul Yisrael betruma. A Jew is allowed to use Truma as an Eruv Techumim. He's allowed to benefit from Truma and use it as his Eruv Techumim food to walk the 2,000 amas. Wait a second. The Jew cannot eat that food. So when he places it out there outside the city, 2,000 amas, it's not a meal for him, but he could benefit from the fact that it would work as a Eruv Techumim. But how? According to Rabbi Bo, it says lo yoichal, you're not allowed to benefit from Truma. So how do you learn that you're allowed to benefit from Truma over there? Rav Papa says, Sha'an Hasam, by Truma, you're permitted to benefit from. The Amakra, the Pasuk says, Trumaschem. The Truma belongs to you. Shalachem Yehei. The Truma should belong to you. And that Pasuk is really by the Truma that the Levi gives off, but it applies by every Truma. Every Truma has a din that it's yours and that you're permitted to benefit from. So the Yisrael is allowed to permit to benefit from that Truma. The Idach, Chizkiah. This is the question against Chizkiah. Chizkiah that says lo yisreichlu, whenever it says lo yoichal, it doesn't mean Isser Hana. So I never have a pre-thought that Truma should be Asr Bahana. So what do I need Trumaskim for him? So the Gemara asks, Trumaskim, the Chol Yisrael Kama. It's the way the Torah talks about. The way the Torah is the language of the Torah. It uses the word Trumaskim not to tell you a new din that you don't know before, but the Torah is talking about to all Jews, your Truma, these are the halachas. But the word Chem in it is not teaching you a brand new din. Now a new topic. Baharei Nazir. A Nazir is not allowed to drink wine. The Rachmana Oma, the Torah says mechatzanim, from pits vadzag until the shell, to the shell, right? The peels. Lo yoichel, he's not allowed to eat from the grapes. Utnan, we learned in the Mishnah, arvin l'nazir b'yayin. A nazir is allowed to use erev tchumen with wine. Wait a second. It says lo yoichel, he's not allowed to eat from it, and yet he's allowed to benefit from it. So this is a question against who? Rabbi Bo. Amamazut Rabbi said yes. Nazir has an extra miut, which says, Shan Hossam of Naziris is different. Domakrat Nizroi, it's his Naziris. Shalo Yehei, it's his. It says, we say to the Nazir that anything that you prohibited upon yourself, you're permitted, it's yours to benefit from. You can't eat it, but you can permit it to benefit from it. Again, the Gemara really should ask, now what does Chizkiah do with this Nizroi? That's what Tosfos speaks about. But it's not written in the Gemara, so we'll go into the next teretz. Rav Ashi says, I have another pasuk that tells me that a nazir is permitted to benefit from wine and from grapes. He can't eat it, but he can benefit from it. Because the Torah says about the hair of the nazir, it should remain holy, so to speak. It should have a din of holiness, the growth of his hair. And not only is it holy that when he cuts off the hair, he's not allowed to benefit from that hair. When he takes that final haircut at the end of his Naziris, he has to burn it. And the way he burns it, Rashi says over here, he burns it under the pot that's cooking the shlomim that he brought on the completion of his Naziris. So we darshan Gidulei Kodesh, only his hair remains holy, and Asr Bahana. The Ein Dover Aka Kodesh, and nothing else remains Asr Bahana. So it's an extra pasuk. So the Gemara says, what kind of extra pasuk is that? Midi, does it the Chumash say Ve'ein Dover Aka Ksiv? Does the Torah says nothing else is holy and Asr Bahana? Maybe not only is Asr Bahana, but everything that about the Nazir is Asr Bahana. The foods that he's prohibited to eat is also Asr Bahana. So the Gemara says, the Gemara doesn't like that teretz. The best teretz is what Mar Zutra said. The Mar Zutra said that the word Nizroi teaches you, an extra word Nizroi teaches you that a Nazir can benefit from the wine, although he can't drink the wine or eat the grapes, but he can benefit from it. New Gemara, Baharei Chodesh. There's an Isser to eat from the new produce. Anything grown after, let's say, Pesach time, till the next year Pesach is called Chodesh. And you're not allowed to eat from that new crop until they bring the carbon Minchas Oimer. Why? Drachmana Oma, Lechem V'Kolni V'Karmel, Loi Soichlu Ad Etzem Yamizeh. You're not allowed to eat it until, you're not allowed to eat from the new crop until the following year, Pesach time. Right? And the Torah says, Loi Soichlu, you're not allowed to eat it. So according to Rabbi Bo, Chodesh would not only be not permissible to eat, but you're not allowed to benefit from it. Utnan, we learned in the Mishnah, a person is allowed to use a lawnmower, right, or a sickle to cut the new crop if it's only it's only like very small growth. It's only like the size of a grass. So it's not really a wheat yet. It's just a little tiny growth, and you could give it to your animals. Or umachal behema, even if it's completely grown, the new crop, you're allowed to take it with your hands al yedei kituf. Rashi says, by just not with a sickle or a machine, but you're allowed to pull it out and give it to your behema. Okay, now so therefore you're benefiting from it. And despite the fact that the Torah says lo yisaychlu, according to Rabbi Bo, how could you benefit from it? It says lo yisaychlu. Rab Shmaya says the Amar Sanahasum the Amakra kitzirchem. It's your cutting. Kitzirchem shalachem. The kitzir, whatever you cut, belongs to you. In other words, true, you're not allowed to eat it, but the chem, the extra word kitzirchem, gives you the right to benefit from it, to enjoy it. It's yours. In some way, in some respect, it's yours. The idach, what does that man the Amar do? What does Chizkiah do with Kitzirchem? I never have a pre-thought that it should be Asr Bahana. Kitzirchem D'chol Yisrael Mashma. Kitzirchem means every Jew. It's the way the Torah talks. The Torah is talking about this halacha of Chodesh applies to every Jew's cutting of his field. But it's not an extra word teaching you a separate din. We had that before. The Gemara continues, V'harei shrotzim. You're not allowed to eat shrotzim, things that are non-kosher. The Rachmana Alma Sheketzu, Le'yacha. Anything non-kosher animals, non-kosher fish, you're not allowed to eat. So, the Chayra, and it says, Lo ye ochel. It's not allowed to be eaten. So therefore, you're not allowed to eat it, but you shouldn't be allowed to benefit from it. Utnan, we learned in the Mishnah, Sayodei Chaya v'oifes v'dogim. A guy is trying to capture kosher wild animals or birds or kosher fish, and in the middle of it, while he's trying to catch, he catches something that's not kosher. So he's trying to catch tuna fish and he catches dolphins, and he catches a non-kosher bird or chaya, non-kosher wild animal. So once you caught it, so don't let it go. You're allowed to benefit from it. You're allowed to sell it to a goy. So what do you see from here? It's a question of not only a Rabbo, but even Chizkiah, that you're allowed to benefit from non-kosher animals. You're allowed to make a profit on it. If you happen to caught one, you're allowed to resell it to a goy. So the Gemara says, Shani Hosam, it's different. The Torah says, Sheketz hu lachem, it's yours. So in some respects, you're not allowed to eat it, but it's yours. Shalachem yehi. The Torah gives you permission to benefit from it as if it's yours. So the Gemara says, if this was so, then lechatchila, why can't I make a business catching non-kosher animals? Why can't I make a business of not catching gold? The Mishnah only implies that if you were trying to catch kosher animals and you caught non-kosher animals, b'di'evet, we let you sell it. But why can't I make that business lechatchila? You're allowed to benefit from it. Shana kocha, because there's another pasuk that says shekes yiu, that it remains usher to you. So b'havayasin yehi, it should remain usher to you. So it's like sort of like a the psukim contradict itself. One pasuk lechem says you're allowed to benefit from. One says you're not allowed to benefit from it. It always remains also. So the chachamim determined that you're allowed to benefit from it b'di'evid. Lechatchila, you're not allowed to benefit from it. I want to point out that from here, this Mishnah, you can see already that if a person wants to own a McDonald's franchise or something like that, you're certainly not allowed to, because it's only b'di'evid we allow you to benefit from non-kosher food products. But to make a whole business out of it, that's not permitted. In fact, it seems that it's also daraisa to do that. I'm not sure, but I'm just saying that from this reading of the text. Ulechizkiah, according to Chizkiah, why does the Torah have to write, if by shratzim, non-kosher animals, you're permitted to benefit from it, why does the Torah have to write lo ye'achel? You're not allowed to benefit from it. And then it brings the ma'aseh lechem, the mishrei, that you are permitted to benefit from it. Why? Because according to Rabbi Bo, you can't ask that question, because every place that it says lo yisaychel and it says heter abanah, so that you need, the Torah tells you lo yisaychli for achila, you're not allowed to eat it, and that lo yisaychel would include isra hana, so it's always going to include isra hana. That's why I need extra lachem, according to Rabbi Bo, to teach you permissibility to hana. But according to Chizkiah, if the Torah would write lo yoichal, I would never think that it's asur bahana. So just write lo yoichal, that it's only asur to eat and permitted to benefit from it, and I would not need the lechem. So loy lichte rachmon lo ye'echel v'loy boy lechem, according to Chizkiah. This is my source. This is my source of where I learned that lo ye'echel includes isra and chila and isra hana. From without the shratzim pasuk, I would never know that the word lo ye'echel means isra chila and isra hana, and that's how we learned it from. That the fact that the Torah lo ye'echel and then had to give you another pasuk lechem teaches you that the word lo ye'echel always implies isra hana. Nu gemara v'arei chametz. The chametz should be asur bahana. The Rachmana Amar lo ye'echel chametz. So then, how could it be? Says the Gemara. One man the Amar, one opinion says that chametz b'Pesach is mutar bahana. The time we learned in the Brayso, Rabbi Yosef Glili Omer, Tama alatzvucha. Don't think about it. Aren't you surprised at yourself? Hey, chametz b'Pesach asur bahana. Kol shiva. Why should chametz b'Pesach should be asur bahana all 7 days? The Torah only says you're not allowed to eat chametz. So Rabbi Yosef Glili is this Tana. Chizki is not a Tana. Rabbi Yosef Glili is a Tana who says that the word lo yachel says to everyone that chametz is only asur to eat, not bahana. And so, how could Chizkiah and Rabbi certainly argue on this Tana who says lo yachel that there's permissibility to benefit from chametz on Pesach? So Gemara says Shana Hasam over there chametz Pesach is different. Why? The Amakra, the pasuk says v'lo yorah lecha sa'or. The Torah writes by chametz b'Pesach you're not allowed to see sa'or. So according to Rabbi Yosef Glili, the word lecha, this lecha is extra shelecha. That teaches you that it's yours. In other words, lo ye'ochel chametz would imply that you're not allowed to benefit from it the same way Chizkiah or Rabbi Bo explained it. But Rabbi Yosef Glili permits you to benefit from chametz because there's an extra word lecha that says it's yours. You can benefit from it. Rabbanan who hold you're not allowed to benefit from chametz b'Pesach. How do you know? What did they do with the lecha? The Torah said so. They darshan you can't see it yours, but you're permitted to see if it belongs to goyim or if it belongs to hegdish. If it's not your chametz, then you're permitted to have it in your house. Only your chametz you're not allowed to have in your house. The idach, trei lecha ksiva. The Rabbi Yosef Glili says it says twice lecha. Lo yirah lecha sa'ar, lo yirah lecha sa'ar. It says it twice, once in Shmos and one in Tevarim. So the extra lecha teaches you that you're allowed to benefit from it. The idach, the Tanakama, what do they do? The Chachamim who hold that it's permitted, it's asur bahana. What do they do with the extra lecha? Chad begoy shiki bashtoi. Chad begoy shleiki bashtoi. One teaches you by a goy that you are the jurisdiction over that goy, and because you're a jurisdiction of that goy, I might think that his money is your money, and you're not allowed to permit it to have it in your house. That one lacha teaches you that even if it's a goy that you have total control over him, he's under the Jewish law, still you're allowed to have his chametz in your house. L'chad, one pasuk is regular by a goy shaloi kibashtoi that you don't even control over. So again, you need one for a goy shekibashtoi, one for a goy shaloi kibashtoi. The idach. What does Rabbi Yosef Galili? Again, he needs an extra lecha to teach you that chametz b'Pesach is permitted b'hanoah. So he says, "Shlosh lecha ksivi." In fact, it says 3 times lecha. What are the 3 times lecha? So Rashi says it says lo yirah lecha chametz. Then it says lo yirah lecha sa'ar b'chol gvul lecha. That's in, and then it says another pasuk lo yirah lecha sa'ar b'chol gvulcha shivas yomim in Devarim. So it says the word lecha 3 times. One is for the 2 types of goyim that you're allowed to have their chametz in your house, and one is to teach you you're allowed to benefit from chametz. The idach, what do the chachamim do with that lecha? Chad basa'or, chad b'chametz. Teaches you that not only are you permitted to keep the goyish sa'or, yeast, which is non-edible food item, but it could make other things chametz in your house. The chad b'chametz, and one is to aser, and one's to permit even chametz, actual chametz of a goy in your house. Utzrichi, and there's a chiddush to tell you both. We had this once before, but basically the Torah needed to write it. The chametz of a goy is permitted not only by yeast, but also by chametz, and each one has a strict. I would not have learned one from the other. Nugabar, leime katanoi. Let us say that the machloikis of Chizkiah and the Chachamim and Rababo is a machloikis tanoim. Because the Chumash says that chaylev, the fats of an animal, you're allowed to. You're not allowed to eat the fats of an animal. If you know what that is, take a look. This is a picture of the fats of an animal that's not permitted to eat. Right over here, the right side. This is usher, completely usher. I think also this is a little bit usher. What they do is they cut this off, the chaylev of an animal, not the chaylev of a chaya is usher. So but the Torah says you're allowed to benefit from it. You could use it for whatever you want. Why does it say l'chol melacha to anything you want? Ma Talmud loy l'chol melacha. So yochol, I would have thought this Tana holds l'mlechas gevoye mutar to only if it's kachim. It's permitted to use if it was kachim animal, then you're permitted to use the fats for benefit. But because the kachim fats anyway are being burnt, some of it is being burnt on the mizbeach. So kachim fats, there the Torah gave you permissibility to benefit from. Lemechas hedyet yeyasa. But I might think, that the Torah that aser the fats of a regular plain animal, the Torah meant to aser even hana of that plain animal. Talmud loyma, that's why it says l'chol malacha divrei Rabbi Yosef Galili. Okay, because I would have thought that's one mandiyama. If that's why I need the l'chol to marbe that l'melechem s'legavoye, it's mutter to use it to use the fats, and also for meleches chulin, even if it's a plain animal, you could use it. Divrei Rabbi Yosef Galili. Rabbi Kiva says sheyochol l'meleches yet hedyet yehei tohar. I would have thought that the fats of a plain animal is pure, is not tamei. But l'meleches gavoye yehei tamei. But if it's kachim fats, it would be tamei. Talmud loy melechol malacha. He teaches you that any fats, even the fats of an animal that you shmear, will not be metama kachim. So if I take that fat of a plain animal and make a leather wallet out of it, shmear something, and then put kachim on it, it wouldn't become tamei. So fats do not have a din like basar, like nevela, that could become tamei. The fats are separate from nevela, and they do not become tamei. And that's the kiddush of Rabbi Akiva. So the Gemara wants to this. First, the Gemara explains. Rabbi Yossi Aglili, Rabbi Yossi l'tuma taharach lo yitzrach kra. He says for tuma and tahara, I don't need this pasuk to tell me that the chaylev is not tamei, and therefore ki yitzracha. What do I need this pasuk? Lisa v'heter, to teach you that whether you can benefit from it. Rabbi Kiva holds is v'heter lo yitzrach kra. I don't need this pasuk to tell me that it's permitted to benefit from it. Without l'chol malacha, I know for a fact that you're allowed to benefit from it. Ki yitzracha, when do I need a pasuk? L'tumah tahara.
to permit that it tell you that it doesn't have tumah tahara, that's what I need it for. So the Gemara is going to try to align the machlokes between Rabbi Kiva and Rabbi Yosef Glili to the same machlokes between Chizkiah and Chizkiah and Rababo. And this is the point. This is the argument. Rabbi Yosef Glili Sova. Rabbi Yosef Glili holds. The Torah says you don't eat chalev, loy soichli, don't eat fats. Mashma, bein is achila, bein is arna. Exactly the way Rabbi Bo would interpret it. Don't eat fats, you're not allowed to eat it, and not allowed to benefit it. Then the Torah makes a permissibility. You also l'chol malacha l'mishrei l'nevela b'hano d'asa to permit nevela to benefit from it. Rabbi Akiva Sava and Rabbi Akiva holds is achila mashma. The word leiseichlu only tells you you're not allowed to eat it, like Chizkiah would say. But benefit is arna loy mashma. I would never think that you're not allowed to have a no. So what is the Torah telling me? That you can use it for whatever you want. The Torah is telling you that it doesn't have tumah and tahara on the chalev. It's not like a regular piece of nevela meat that has tumah and tumah on it. This chalev, there's no tumah on it. So that's the machlokes. So it seems to line up that the machlokes Chizkiah and Rabavo is a machlokes tanoim. So the Gemara says, "Loy, it's not so." The kuliyama loy soichlu mashma beinis achila beinas arna. Both Chizkiah and Rababo hold that, this is going to, according to basically Chizkiah, probably it is machlokes. But Rababo does not necessarily need to learn that it's a machlokes. Because he can say that both Rabbi Yosef Glili and Rabbi Kiva hold, loy soichlu means bein is achila, bein is rana. You're not allowed to benefit from it. And this is what the argument is about. Rabbi Yosef Glili Savar, Rabbi Yosef Glili holds that where would I know? I have no place to give you a permissibility to benefit from chalev, because the fact that the Torah said you could benefit from the nevela, it only said you could benefit from nevela meat, but not from the fats of the nevela. Kishut nevela, only the meat of the nevela is permitted to benefit from it. Chelba v'gida loy hudru, the fats and the veins were not permitted to eat. So there's no source of permissibility for hanoah. That's why the Torah had to write an extra by fats, that it's permissible to benefit from the fats of an animal. That's why I need the pasuk. It's coming to teach you you're permitted to benefit from it. Rabbi Kiva holds, I have, without anything, even though the Torah says don't eat fats, and don't eat means don't benefit from it, but I have a source to tell me that you could benefit from fats, because since the Torah said shutru nevela, the Torah said nevela you could benefit from it. Chelba v'gida nami utra. Then the Torah also meant that not only a nevela you could sell to a goy and gift it, you're the fats of the animal and the gid hanashe you're also allowed to benefit from it. So then why does the Torah have to write also l'chol malacha by fats? I know it's permitted to benefit from the fact that it's like nevela you're permitted to benefit from. It teaches you that the fats don't have tum and tahara on it. It's different. It's different than the meat. The meat have tum and tahara. The fats do not have tum and tahara. So now the Gemara just finishes off this topic. Rabbi Yossi Aglili Ashkechan Chel the Shayrach Mana Bahano. Rabbi Yossi Aglili, we find a source that holds that the chalev is permitted to bahano, because the Torah says ye oseh l'chol mamnocha. Ela gid name it also. Would Rabbi Yossi hold by gid hanoshe that it would be also bahana, because I have no source of permitting gid hanoshe bahana. It's not included in the heter of nevela, because gid is a bone, like, and it's not like a meat, and therefore it's not under the umbrella of nevela. So Ibai is saying, if you want, I could say, Hachanamid also, Rabbi Yosef Glili holds, and it's not an unusual opinion, he holds like Rabbi Shimon, that it is also Bahana. Ibai is saying, I can tell you that he holds it's permitted to be Bahana. Ma'isla b'kal v'choyma, he has a kal v'choyma. Ma chelish onush kores, just like chelish, you're not allowed to have kores, but chelev is onush kores. Chelev, if you eat chelev, you get kores, right? On purpose. But the Torah says, muta bahana, you're allowed to benefit from it. Gid hanasha, if you eat it, ain't a karish, you don't die, you don't have karas on it. Like kolshkin, certainly it should be permitted bahana. Rab Shimon. So the Gemara asks, that looks like a great kal v'chomer, but we have a shita of a Tana that holds that even Gid Anosha is not permitted to benefit from. Rab Shimon, the Asar, Rab Shimon, who said that Gid Anosha is not allowed to benefit from it, we just have a nice kal v'chomer from Chalev that Gid Anosha should be permitted to benefit from it. The Gemara says, you could break up that kal v'chomer. Because you can say, Chalev is different. Chalev has permissibility. The fats of a wild animal is permitted. So therefore, there in some animals, a chalev is permitted. That's why it's permitted to benefit from it. But the Gid HaNosheh is asur on a behema or a chaya. So time begin Gid HaNosheh is asur both by a behema and a chaya. Idach, and the other man the Alma holds. What would Rabbi Yossi say? Why is it a good kal v'chomer? The behema kamrin. If you just look at animals itself, not wild animals, but behema, the behema miyas lo ishrid. Nevertheless, in an animal, you're not permitted to have chalev. So when you're comparing chalev of a behema to the Gid HaNosheh of a behema, you have a perfect kal v'chomer. So once you see that Gid HaNosheh of a behema is permitted, you're probably going to say Gid HaNosheh of a chaya is permitted. So that's why Rabbi Yosef Lee holds that it's still a kal v'chomer, and Gid HaNosheh is permitted to benefit from it. Chalev, we have a pasuk Yo'aseh l'chol malacha, and it was not included under the umbrella of nevela. But Rabbi Akiva holds that chalev was included in the umbrella of nevela. Let's do for one more minute, another minute and a half, of this final Gemara, which is a real the point of the whole thing. Mischte, let's examine what we just discussed. We brought all different psukim throughout the Chumash, v'shaninhu, and we answered it. Then find me a place where Chizkiah and Rababo are going to argue, but that because they're only arguing in what the source of something is. But in a halacha l'maisa, there is no big argument. Whatever is going to be asur, whatever is going to be asur bahano according to Chizkiah is going to be asur bahano according to Rababo, and whatever is going to be permitted according to Chizkiah bahano, because it will also be permitted to benefit from it, even according to Rababo, because there's extra psukim. So where would there be halachic difference between Chizkiah and Rababo? By Chametz v'Pesach, according to Rabbanim, that you're not allowed to benefit from it. Where did Chizkiah learn it? His source was Chizkiah nafik lo ye'achel. Chizkiah learned that source of Chametz v'Pesach from lo ye'achel. Rababo and Rababo nafik leim in nevela. Rababo learned it from nevela, that the fact that nevela is permitted bahano, it's mashma. Every time the Torah writes "don't eat it," it means you're asa bahana. So the Gemara just finishes off the question which I spoke out. Mikti, let us examine. Beilamar, whether you hold like Chizkiah, whether you hold like Rababo, Asurim bahana, that both Shara Niskal and Chametz b'Pesach is also bahana. My benayu, what will be a halachic difference between them? So the Gemara says, Ika benayu, the difference would be chulin shenishchatu ba'azara. The chulin that was shachtin in the azara. Let's say a guy has a plain animal, non-hegdish animal, takes it to the base of Migdash, to the slaughtering part of the base of Migdash, and shechts it there. He makes a kosher shchita, you're not allowed to benefit from there. Because Chizkiah, because you have to look at the cheshbon of the Gemara, and Rashi brings down the cheshbon. But here's the point. Chizkiah sava lo yechel lemutehani. Chizkiah holds that lo yechel is needed. Chizkiah holds that all these things, lo yechel, teach you that Chometz b'Pesach and Shara Niskal, you're not allowed to have hana from it. So there's an extra pasuk, lakelef tashlichin also, by treifa, that treifa you could benefit from it. That also is extra according to Chizkiah, and that will teach you l'mutei chulin shenishchatu ba'azara. Chulin that was slaughtered in the azara, you're not permitted to benefit from it. So Chizkiah will hold chulin that was slaughtered in the Beis Hamikdash. Since it's only chulin, it's not kachim, you're not allowed to benefit from it. You have to throw it out and burn it or something like that. Rababo, according to the cheshbon that Rashi makes, he needs that oisoi to teach you lemutehani, to teach you that Chametz b'Pesach and Shara Niskal are asa bahano. He needed the oisoi, lekelef tashlichin oisoi. chulin shenishchata bazar lav d'oraisa ninu. He will hold a chulin that's slaughtered in the Beis Hamikdash is not min Torah. It's only midrabanan, and that is the halachic difference, as the Gemara concludes, between Chizkiah and Rabba Bo. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, long Gemara, but look in the last Rashi, and Rashi gives you the cheshbon for that thing, for the Chizkiah. Okay, tomorrow night. Kol Tov.
Tomorrow night.
Freilich and
Thank you.
Chanukah.